Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to be sharing my review of Pathfinder, The Summer That Never Was, which is the first part of the Season of Ghosts adventure path from Paizo Inc. This is written by Sen HHS with additional writing provided by James Jacobs. This 96-page softcover is available now, carries an MSRP of $26.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $19.99. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got The Summer That Never Was. Before I dive in, a few things I do want to mention. And first of all, my friends over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. These days, it's very, very important that you know that. I'm also not going to share each and every page of this adventure, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what you'll find in The Summer That Never Was, and share my thoughts about it too. Now, lastly, this is an adventure. So if you're a player and your game master has picked up The Summer That Never Was, or maybe they're considering picking it up, by all means, I definitely recommend tune out now, because there is going to be a major spoiler I have to reveal in order to share my review of this adventure. And you don't want all the surprises ruined in this adventure simply because you are watching this review. Now, having said that, if your game master is considering picking this adventure up, by all means, let them know about this video so they can approach The Summer That Never Was to make an informed buying decision. All right, let's jump on in. So the first thing I want to mention is that this is an Asian-themed adventure path, and it takes place in the region of Tian Xia, which I believe this coming spring, we are going to see a Pathfinder supplement, which we'll dive on into that. I got to be honest, I was kind of surprised we haven't seen it already, or it's not coming out to correspond with this adventure path. I don't think it's crucial that you have it in order to get the most out of at least this first chapter in Season of Ghosts. But like I said, I'm kind of surprised that we don't already have it out. I'll be the first to admit, I do not know very much about Asian legend and mythology where a lot of these monsters are going to originate. But having read through this first chapter, I am very intrigued. So what's going on here is we're going to see the first of 4 parts to Season of Ghosts. And the reason why there are 4 parts as opposed to 3 or 6, as we normally see with Pathfinder adventure paths, it's in tune with traditional Chinese storytelling, which is something I did not know about. So it's kind of, rather than our traditional kind of 3-act presentation that we're used to, it's actually 4 acts. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there's some explanation about that as well. So this adventure is going to take place 115 years prior to the current time of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And the reason is, here comes the major spoiler, which you will be informed of immediately as far as being the game master. But I don't really think your player character is going to figure out here in this first chapter is the player characters and everyone in their town are dead. They are spirits. And there's some information about the background of how all of this took place, but we don't see a lot of in-depth discovery from your player characters yet as far as this curse that they are part of. So what happens is, in this village, prior to everyone dying, on a yearly basis, they would have this ritual, this festival, this presentation, where they would pretend to drag some citizens of the town out into the wilderness and leave them there overnight. And the townsfolk who would be doing the kidnapping would dress as monsters and ghosts. And they do this so that monsters and ghosts think the town is already inundated with monsters. It's already haunted by ghosts. So that maybe if the monsters and ghosts see this, they'll move on to far greener pastures to terrorize. I thought that was kind of interesting. So it's going to start off with the player characters being the townsfolk who have been dragged off into the wilderness. And they're all part of this presentation. So they're pretending to be innocent townfolk who have been dragged off. So what happens is the story is going to kick off the following morning, and right away the player characters will realize there's something wrong because someone was supposed to come out there and provide them with breakfast, and it's the ransom to get the player characters back, and they haven't shown up. So the player characters will start making their way back to the town, and they're going to find that something is very, very wrong because the town has been invaded by, you guessed it, monsters and ghosts. So the first thing that the player characters notice in the first chapter, and this is broken up into 3 chapters, is that the guardian statue of this spider, which is the protector of the town, is gone. And it's this really large stone statue, which people couldn't just drag it away. So it's kind of like, wait a second, what's going on here? So in the first chapter, the player characters are going to be investigating kind of the outskirts of town, and they will be introduced to 2 major factions in the town who are vying for control of the town because suddenly the governor, who would be in charge of the town, has disappeared. He's gone. And no one knows why. And it'll turn out that his estate has disappeared too. In reality, what happened is this governor tried to perform a ritual to protect the town. It went wrong, and everyone was killed 115 years ago. I really like what's going on in this adventure. It, to me, is very fresh, very unique. And once again, I don't really have the experience with Asian mythology and legend. So a lot of these creatures, a lot of these monsters, a lot of these ghosts are all new to me. So I thought that was very, very cool. So what'll happen is first chapter, they're introduced to a couple of factions, and one is kind of a criminal element, and the other is sort of a gruff character who turns out they kind of have a heart of gold. And the player characters will eventually need to decide if they're going to side with one of these factions or not get involved with either one of the factions. So, of course, these are also quest givers for the player characters too. So the first thing that the player characters are going to do as they explore is they need to take on these 3 boss monsters in order to relight the eternal lantern, which helps to protect the town. So in order to do that, they're going to have to take on these 3 bosses in the downtown area of the town. That's going to make up the majority of the second chapter. Then the third chapter, the player characters get to do a bit of exploring. So quite a lot will go on in the third chapter, and a good amount of time will also pass during this third chapter. And this is where the player characters are going to realize, hopefully, that for some reason the town is under a curse, that no one can go beyond a certain point. It's a wall of ghosts, which prevents anyone from leaving that area. We also will wrap up with some detailed information about the town of Willow Shore. We're going to have key locations, important NPCs also. We get some new items. We also will have some additional creatures and monsters as part of the adventure toolbox. So some new entries to the bestiary. Really, really interesting stuff here. I got to be honest, I really like the stone statue guardian. It's named Ugly Cute. And the player characters will actually discover what's happened to their guardian and hopefully be able to help it out. But there's a lot of really cool, interesting stuff that's going on in this adventure. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but the reality is I had to share the spoiler that the player characters are dead because it's something that you're going to want to, as a game master, try to make sure the players don't realize too early on. And it is possible, if they do look into information about this adventure, they're going to find that out. So you're going to want to try to tell your players, hey, probably be in your best interest. Don't go snooping around online to find out what's going on in this season of Ghost Adventure Path. Now, there is, of course, a player's guide, which is available as a PDF, as a free download from Paizo Inc., which will provide some additional options for your player character generation, because this is an adventure that will start off with the player characters being first level. So we have the two major players for these two factions, which essentially are looking to kind of control the entire town, but they are focused on particular areas of the town. So we've got Granny who is sort of our criminal element, although that's not exactly how she comes across early on when the player characters meet her. And then we also have old Matsuki, who is real gruff and crusty and cranky. But it turns out that he really, really is concerned about the town and the townsfolk, whereas Granny is more about acquiring power. Now, neither one of them are absolute good or absolute evil. They have their good and bad points to them. Personally, if I were a player, I would look to ally with old Matsuki, but once again, Granny's got some cool things going on with her as well. So that's going to wrap up the adventure. Here's information about the Tian Xia World Guide, which is coming in spring. So look forward to that. So that's a peek inside the Adventure Path chapter. Let's swing on over to the other camera so I can provide some final thoughts and give The Summer That Never Was a review score. I was really impressed by this first chapter of this season of Ghost. I really like this a lot, and it just feels different. It feels new, and I don't only mean because it's Asian themed, because we have seen that prior with Pathfinder 2nd Edition adventures, but this is kind of a horror adventure too. Now, I'll be very honest, it's not as spooky and scary as, say, a Call of Cthulhu adventure or a Delta Green adventure, but there are some really cool creatures and ghosts that are in this adventure. So I really like that. I like what's starting off in this adventure path. I am really, really intrigued by what's to come. I also find it very interesting that the player characters are spirits and they don't realize that. And it may be quite some time in this adventure path before they even realize that. So I like that quite a bit as well. I honestly think that Season of Ghosts is off to a rollicking start. I personally think as a game master, this would be loads of fun to run. Just reading through it, I was kind of picturing different angles I would use with the two different factions to kind of tempt the player characters to their sides. Really, really fun. I am certainly looking forward to the next chapter of the Season of Ghosts adventure path. I think it's called Where the Leaves Fall, something along those lines. Anyway, regardless, on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Pathfinder The Summer That Never Was a 9 out of 10. I think it is that good, and it does have me very excited to see what else is on the horizon in the Season of Ghosts. All right, that is it for this time out. If you liked the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this review, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch this review. And until I see you next time, here's hoping all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.